Okay, so it is 9:32 a.m. I will call the June 13th, 2025 meeting of the Circulation Aisle Advisory Group to order. Starting out, we last met in December. Are there any changes or corrections to the December 13th minutes? Hearing none, we will accept the minutes as submitted. I also realized I skipped right over the roll. So we have all committee members present except for Cheryl. She knew she wasn't going to be able to come, shared her thoughts with the agenda topics with me. We also have a few guests. So we've got Molly joining from CCS. We have Adrian and Carly from Palatine, and I see Fern from Displane. So thanks for joining today. So let's jump in to the agenda. We have a couple of old business topics from our December meeting. So we're going to continue our discussion on the gender and title fields and hopefully establish a recommendation for how to move forward with both fields. So your packet included the summary from the December minutes and just a repeat of the information about the fields that we shared in December. So to kind of recap what was in the packet, starting with the gender field. The gender field, it's a fixed value field. Actually, let me share my screen. We'll take a look at LEAP together. Okay. Let me just open up a new patron field. So gender field, it's a fixed value field, which means that staff would select from a drop-down list. The default for this field is that it is visible in the work form, but it can be suppressed from view. So it is currently visible at 22 CCS libraries. It is suppressed at the rest of the libraries. Back in fall, ahead of our December meeting, we sent out a very quick survey to CCS libraries just to see who was actively collecting or using gender information. 2 libraries responded that they were collecting gender data. One said they were had the potential to use it when running demographics reports on their library users. For the remaining libraries who have it visible, even though they aren't collecting it, we found that staff will occasionally enter gender information because the field is there and visible. So this impacts roughly 8% of patrons at libraries who say they don't collect gender information, but still have that field visible in their patron registration work form. In terms of where this information is visible, the gender information does not display to patrons, but it is available in staff applications. And this includes both LEAP and the staff client and Simply Reports if running a patron report. So that was a very brief recap of what we looked at gender information at the December meeting. So what I want to do today is I just want to continue our discussion. Our guests are more than welcome to participate in the discussion. And then I would like us to make an action on how the group recommends moving forward. Let me switch over to my slides here real quick. Because one of my slides. So one other thing I included in the packet were potential actions that we were looking at. So one action, we could recommend that CCS libraries just cease collecting gender information altogether. Another action would be that we recommend CCS libraries have the ability to continue to decide individually if they want to collect gender information or not. But for the libraries who opt not to collect gender information, we would suppress the field from value and we would delete any existing gender information from the patron records. And the third potential action is that we essentially take no action and we allow libraries to kind of continue on as they are doing now. So with that, I'm going to pause talking and I'm going to open it up to the group for any thoughts or questions or comments.
Hello, Mieko, can you hear me now?
Can hear you.
Okay, good, good. Well, I mean, I think if there's even one library that's collecting the gender information, I mean, we could probably leave it up to each individual library's decision whether or not they want to pursue it. I mean, here at Wilmette, you know, we don't collect that. I think most libraries obviously don't, but for any who feel it's important, I would maybe leave it as an option.
I think I would be okay with that, but as a counterpoint, if there's any chance that the libraries who aren't collecting it keep it on because people are filling it out, even though they're not collecting it, I don't know. It feels like if we're not using the information, and if there's any chance that the information could be used in a negative way and negatively impact patrons, which I feel like there is a concern that there could be, especially in those libraries that are not using it for anything but collecting it. Like we're collecting it based on, I imagine, what we are deciding the patron's gender is. Like we're not asking them, they're not giving us any input into that. So I think I would recommend one. I could live with two, but I think my first choice would be to just not use it, to not collect it at all.
Thoughts from other committee members?
So I was thinking of both options. If someone does, I feel like if they do find value in that data, I kind of agree. Like, let them use that data. At Morgan Grove, we don't really use the field at all. But if someone does find value, I do think having that option might be nice for them, and they can use that going forward.
I certainly don't want to collect the data, you know, whether it could be used against somebody or just as an, you know, invasion of somebody's privacy a bit. I don't want to do that any more than we have to. Mieko, if we say that those don't collect it, it's suppressed at that library, does that give us a cleaner database as well?
I would argue yes. I think if we go with number 2, I think we'd resurvey libraries. And if the library said, no, they do not collect gender, we would deactivate, we would clear out any existing gender information. We would also do the same thing for non-CCS reciprocal borrowers, anyone registered to CCSB. And then we would do as ongoing database maintenance. CCS would sweep for any gender data that could be removed in cases where, like, if a patron moved from a library that does collect gender to a non-collection service area, we would be able to catch and delete that existing information as well.
And also, I assume if we chose to suppress it, those who don't want to use it, if at some point the thinking at a library change, they could always turn it back on later, right?
They could, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I would opt for number 2, I think.
Chat from Fern. Des Plaines does not use the gender field for patron registration.
I would be comfortable with option 2 as well if we're suppressing the field for the libraries that aren't collecting it, so it's not accidentally completed.
I will share the thoughts that Cheryl sent over. So she is for the option. She is in favor of having the field suppressed and the existing data deleted. And she says she's fine for it to be based on the individual library if folks have use for that information. So I will also say that so when we surveyed libraries, we had 30 at the time, when I also include Vernon, because I know how they are going to apply the setting once they go live. We would have 30 libraries who do not use gender. And then the 2 libraries that responded in the survey saying they do collect it. So removing, if we did go with option 2, it would mitigate the amount of data for the vast majority of patrons in the database. And it would just be those 2 libraries if they still collect it. I will say if they still collect it. And Chris, I'm afraid I cut you off. I saw you had unmuted and then muted.
It's okay. I agree with everyone else as far as the number 2.
I'm just going to just pop over here real quick. Do we feel ready to make a motion for the recommendation? If so, someone, I invite someone to go ahead and make a recommendation for
So moved.
Danny.
I'd like to second that.
Matthew. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? So we're going to move forward with recommendation number 2, which would allow libraries to decide individually if they want to collect gender information or not. For the libraries who opt not to collect gender information, we will suppress the field from view and delete the existing gender information from patron records. So I'm going to start working on a timeline for this. We do have the next circulation technical group meeting coming up. It's July 10th. So we'll be able to kind of introduce this to the group and then invite, and then we can let everyone know how we're going to move forward in timeline and everything. So the next old business topic related was the title field. So again, kind of giving an overview where we were at in December for this one. I'm going to share my screen to Leap once again so we can look at the field together. So we're talking here about the title field for the patron's name. Again, this is another fixed value field in the patron registration work form. This field, unlike gender, this field cannot be suppressed, but the field options can be added, edited, and removed. So this one is not used as widely as even gender. Less than 1% of our patron records have title information. I do believe a lot of that is a holdover from our old ILS from Symphony. The title does not appear in the patron's PAC account or on a hold wrapper, but it does appear on notices. And again, it's available in staff applications, Leap, the client, and Simply Reports. So as you can see, let me pull up our packet here and get back to some of the information that we shared we looked at the December meeting. So as you can see, we have, again, a handful of gendered title fields. We have like Ms., Mr., Ms., Mrs., and then some ones that are technically suffixes, and then some that we are not sure where it came from because, again, those legacy codes, as you can see, many are not in use. And the ones that are do not have many patrons attached to them. So going back to popping over my slides here. So again, I want to continue our discussion about title, how it's used, and how we want to move forward with the field use. And I realize I have a typo in my slide. So the potential actions we're looking at here. First action, we're recommending that CCS libraries cease use of the title field. CCS would basically remove the options from the drop-down list. The second potential action, we recommend the title remains available as an option for libraries. We will modify the list just to include a gender neutral option, remove unknown or redundant options. And then the final action is that we basically don't want to take action. We're going to leave the patron title field as is. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So comment from Adrian, curious if the suffix field could be important for differentiating patrons with the same name. And that is a really good question. I'm going to go back to Leap just so we can look at the two fields together. So we have the title field, which is that fixed field. And then the suffix field is also available. This is a free text field. So libraries could absolutely continue to use the suffix field if they want to indicate it's a junior, a senior, the third, whatever other suffix.
Oh, sorry. Are we open to discussion or?
Yes.
Okay. So you said that the title field can't be removed. Can the suffix field be removed?
I cannot.
It cannot either. Okay. Okay. And then also with like the 2000 records that use like Mr. or Mrs., are they all focused on one library or is that kind of just spread out through all the different libraries?
Ooh, that is a good question. Let me see. As the group is discussing, let me open up Simply Reports and see if I can get that information from there. Okay, I've was able to run a count report. And let me just download that real quick. And I'll share my screen just so we can kind of see what this looks like. Okay. So it is pretty spread out. There are a handful of libraries that do seem to use it more than others. However, what we don't know is that if it is they're actively like they're current and actively using it, or if these are legacy patrons that just have the data in. So that'd be another piece of the puzzle to take a look at.
Okay. And then the last question was, if we did remove like the content from the title field, does that increase like processing time for Leap for like getting to different fields? Would that impact that at all? Like removing that data?
It would not. That's a good question. It would not. So basically what we would do is we would remove, we would options in that list come from a table in the sysadmin setting, and essentially we would just remove all options from that table except for like the NA. So it would keep that table intact. It would just kind of clean out all of the existing options.
Okay.
And then a couple comments from Athena and Chris at both their libraries. They no longer collect, so both confirming that those are legacy patrons. Count.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's kind of like the last vote. If libraries saw like Glenview and like Villa, if they find value in that, but removing it doesn't increase like our processing time, maybe leave it as is what I'm thinking, but open to, hear everyone else.
Well, I would differ only a little bit in the sense that I think this is the title field is maybe a little, well, I don't see the value in the title field. I mean, I don't see an uproar of all the doctors and reverends upset that, we removed it. Um, I, I don't really think the title field is necessarily necessary. I mean, I think it's something that we could probably cease using. I mean, that's just, my thought. I think this is, it, I don't know. I have a stronger feeling about this one and how I don't know if it's really necessary, but again, I leave it to the group.
I agree with Matthew. I think too, with this one, I mean, I know I'm the one that's like, turn it all off. But I think with this one too, especially because it does show up on notices, like that is, I don't know, I don't love that. Like if it does get entered, or even if it's a legacy, and I know we're new, so we don't have I don't think we have the legacy stuff in there. But yeah, I think it doesn't seem like libraries are actively using it. It doesn't feel like an added value to keep for any reason. Doesn't seem like anyone would want to keep statistics on that. Like I could see there being value in the gender, like if people are running statistics and looking at demographics and things, I don't see where that would be relevant here. So I would recommend not getting rid of it entirely.
I will share Cheryl's thoughts. So she would be for she would be in favor of not using. She says she cannot think of a reason the title information would be useful.
I also feel option 1 would be the best option, to just get rid of it altogether.
Any other comments or thoughts from committee or guests? Or would you be ready to make a motion?
I would make the motion that we recommend CCS libraries cease the use of the title field.
Second.
Matthew motioned, Janine seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. We will take that recommendation then to the July 10th CERC technical group for a wider vote. If approved, we will go ahead and clean up that table. So the options are pretty much nulled out and remove title field data from the existing patrons. I am going to switch back to slides here. So that concludes our old business. And we are moving on to our new business. We have just one agenda topic for new business this time. Which is a setting to prevent interlibrary loan renewals. So this one, I don't have anything that I can like demo or show in Leap. So we're just going to run through some slides and kind of talk through the situation here. So right now, the thing this is addressing is that the auto renewal job that runs daily does not differentiate between like type of patron, and it attempts to auto renew all eligible items, which includes items checked out to interlibrary loan patron accounts. So things that have gone out through WorldShare or through Find More. We found a configuration setup that would prevent this. So what this configuration would do is that it would stop what are called patron initiated renewals for the patron code ILL library. And when we're referencing patron initiated renewals, we're talking about auto renewals, renewal attempts in the Power Pack, and then also renewal attempts through our telephony, our inbound telephony system, which are rare but available. This setting change would not impact any staff behavior in Leap or the client. So staff who have general permissions would still be able to manually renew materials for ILL library patrons without running into any kind of permission blocks or just general blocks. A few related details for this. Because this setting is based on the transacting library, it could be input either at the system level, so it applies to everyone, or it can be input by request for individual branches. If it's implemented in any capacity, we would review patron records that are coded with the ILL library patron code. And that way, if there is anything that is miscoded, if we have like any non-CCS reciprocal borrowers accidentally coded as ILL, we would have the opportunity to clean that up before implementing anything. So the potential actions we're looking at today, we're talking if we want to recommend blocking patron-initiated renewals for ILL libraries system-wide, or if we want to recommend allowing libraries to choose if they will block the patron-initiated renewals. And then third option, as always, we don't make a recommendation, and I should say our recommendations basically libraries go on with business as usual using their current ILL library workflows. So I know it's not much information on this setting change. Like you said, I wasn't able to set up any tests and training since the auto renewal job isn't turned on there. So nothing, unfortunately, nothing for us to like actively test out or demo. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to pause and open it up to questions or discussion.
Well, Mika, we communicated about this just yesterday. You mentioned that there's not a lot of information, but there's certainly enough information to convince me to maybe block the patron-initiated renewals because we do have two ILL library accounts where when we send stuff out, we actually use an in-house library card to put holds on the items so that when they come, so that they basically can't be renewed. So by initiating this process, we could effectively remove that in-house, renewals, or using the in-house account to place holds on these items that are going out through ILL. So at least from Wilmette's standpoint, I mean, I see a great value in maybe ceasing the patron-initiated renewals, and it's certainly cuts out a step for us, and we don't have to use that in-house account. So I mean, once we discussed this yesterday, I mean, I kind of had a strong feeling how I wanted to lean on this issue.
And I told Matthew it's their in-house card has the greatest name, and I'm going to
Yes.
be sorry to see it retired.
Mr. McFeely from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So anytime a staff is clearing an item and it pops up, it's on hold for Mr. McFeely, we know not to process that hold. But that's the in-house account that we use.
I agree. I think blocking patron initiated renewal system wide I think is the way to go.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
So agree.
I do agree as well.
May just be the shortest discussion for an agenda topic yet. I figure, after like what 8 years of trying to find workarounds, I was hoping people would be excited to. And we've discovered a configuration. I will invite our guests. I know Adrian works with ILLs. If there's any comments or suggestions you have before we move into an action. Love hearing that from Palatine. Thank you. Okay. In that case, good. Okay. So comments. It's a great idea from Palatine. Definitely make things easier for us to cease auto renewal. So, Cheryl, I will read out what Cheryl shared. She says their ILL department is so excited to recommend blocking patron initiated renewals for ILL library patron codes system wide. So she is on the same page. Are we ready to make a motion for this one then?
I motion to recommend blocking patron initiated renewals for the IL patron code system wide.
Second,
I'd like,
Chris got the second. All in favor?
I,
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that motion passes. We are going to recommend implementing this setting system wide at the August ILL technical group meeting. Ahead of that meeting, we will kind of begin the cleanup process for ILL library patron codes. So hopefully we'll be in good shape then shortly after the ILL meeting. Pending approval, we can implement that pretty quickly. And that takes us to the end of our agenda. Any last comments, questions before we kind of wrap things up? Well, I will say, thank you everyone for serving this year. This is our final advisory group meeting for the fiscal year. This is a one-year appointment. You are at the end of your term. We recently finalized our rosters for next year's group. So I will be reaching out to the next fiscal year committee members with the fiscal year 25-26 dates. So I've very much enjoyed our discussions. We had, I know we didn't have all of our meetings, so we didn't have too much to talk about, but the topics that we did were really important. So thank you for that. So with that, may I have a motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
May I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Danny seconds. Yeah, we are adjourned at 10:10 a.m. Going to stop our recording.